पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारश्च तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नमः श्री शङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। Verse 223. अनादिमायया भ्रान्ताः जीवेशौ सुविलक्षणम् मन्यन्ते तद्युदासाय केवलं शोधनं तयोः। अत एवात्र दृष्टान्तः योग्यः प्राक् सम्यगीरितः। घटाकाशमहाकाश जलाकाशाभ्रखात्मकः जलाभ्रोपाद्यधीनेते जलाकाशाभ्रखेतयोः। आधारौ तु घटाकाश महाकाशौ सुनिर्मलौ। एवमानन्दविज्ञान मयौ मायाधियोर्वशौ तदधिष्ठानकूटस्थ ब्रह्मणि तु सुनिर्मले। Anadimaya bhantaha, those people who are deluded on account of Maya, which is beginningless, and that includes everybody. There is no exception to that. The Maya, as I said, is nothing but ignorance, and ignorance which creates, again, an error of taking myself to be a limited one. So the self, who is limitless, is taken to be limited, and Lord, who is not away from me, is taken to be separate from me. And thus, right from the birth, on account of ignorance, everyone takes the self or jiva to be different from Ishvara, to be different from Lord. This duality between jiva and Ishvara is taken for granted. Suvilakshana, and we also except that both of them are totally contradictory in nature. That I am limited in every respect, and Ishvara is great in every respect, and I am here and he is there, and thus vilakshana, both of them are taken to be totally different in nature. This is the notion or this is the conclusion that people have. And Shruti has to teach them, and therefore they said manyan tad vidasaya. Since this duality between Jiva and Ishvara, then seeker and sought, is taken for granted in order to eliminate this notion of duality, not to eliminate duality. You cannot eliminate duality, eliminate the notion of duality. Had duality meaning, if Jiva and Ishvara were really separate from each other, then of course you cannot do anything about it. So by knowledge we cannot change anything. By knowledge all we can do is to eliminate the notion born of ignorance. So that I am separate and Lord is separate is a notion that is born of ignorance of not knowing my true nature or the true nature of the Lord. And so that notion can be eliminated by imparting the true nature of Jiva and Ishvara, and therefore the scriptures undertake this inquiry into the nature of Tat and Tvam, Ishvara and Jiva. For which the illustration was given earlier, Ghatakasha, Mahakasha, Jalakasha, Meghakasha. So, how that the pot space, in the pot there is water, in the water also there is space reflected, the sky is reflected, and so reflected sky is comparable to the Jiva, and the space in the pot which is pure is comparable to Kutastha or Atma, and again there is cloud in which the sky is reflected, that reflected sky is comparable to Ishvara, and the total space is comparable to Brahma, and thus evam anandamaya vijnanamayav maya dhiyor vasau tadvishthana kutastha brahmahitu sunirmale. Here also what we call Jiva or individual is nothing but same Brahman just associated with or conditioned by or reflected in the antahkaranam, in the mind. So that's what we call Jiva. So this Jiva is dependent upon what we call Buddhi, the individual Upadi, and Ishvara is same Brahman reflected in the totality of all Upadi called Maya. And so the concept of Ishvara depends upon Upadi called Maya, and the concept of Jiva depends upon Upadi called Buddhi or individual Antahkaranam. However, what's the truth of this Jiva? What's the truth of the limited individual? Is nothing but Kutastham, is Chaitanyam, which is changeless or limitless. So idea of limitation comes only on account of committing the error of taking the quality of the one to be that of the other. So whereas there is limitation in the body, in the mind, in the intellect, in this Upadi, there are all limitations, and those limitations are taken to be my limitations. And that is how the concept of Jivatvam is born. In reality, the true nature of the self is Kutastha, changeless, and similarly also, the true nature of what we call Ishvara is Brahman. That Brahman, since we give reality to the universe, therefore we call Brahman the creator. Since we say there is universe which is being sustained, we call him the sustainer, the dissolver. So Brahman gains all this designation on account of the Upadi or which we call universe. Otherwise in its true nature, again it is pure, actionless, unaffected by anything. And so Sunirmalau, both Brahma and Kutastha, which is nothing but Chaitanyam, they are pure in nature. And the concepts that entertain about them are on account of the Upadi. So far the discussion almost seems to say that as far as other schools of thoughts are concerned, you do not waste your effort in trying to investigate what they have to say, because that is not going to lead you to knowledge, because their opinions and their schools of thought are based on their own individual notions and not on Shruti, not on the Upanishad. So you must focus your attention only upon the Upanishad, which is a pramanam, that's a valid means of knowledge for enabling us to see the truth. Does it mean that we should totally disregard what the rest of the people have to say? So question is asked here in the introduction to the next verse, Nanu, Padartha-dvaya-shodhana kakshopayogitvenapi Sankhya Yogamatadvayam Angikaram Visheg. He says, look, this is Sankhya and Yogas, as we discussed yesterday. Sankhyas are those who say that Atma is asangachit vibhu, that self is free, consciousness, all pervasive. This is what the Sankhyas say about the self, which is the same as what the Vedantin says. And therefore, this conclusion on the part of the Sankhya Shastra definitely helps us to understand the true nature of Atma. And to that extent, definitely the work that they have done is useful. Similarly, Yoga Shastra, as we said, says that Ishvara is Purusha Visheshaha, a special being, who is also all pervasive, who is also pure, who is also conscious in nature. And that also tallies with what we have to say. Therefore, what Yoga Shastra says is the reference to Ishvara is also something that is useful to us. So, Sankhya Yoga Matadvam Angikar Karyam, inasmuch as their investigation help us in making an inquiry into the nature of Jiva and Ishvara, those conclusions or methodologies should be acceptable to us because they are useful to us. And therefore, he says you should not throw away Sankhya and Yoga as totally useless because there are parts in them which are useful. Angikaryam, that you should accept them as your principle also. He said, if this is what you have to say, Alpam vidam uchyate. He says, well, you are not saying enough. Itaresha avishastranam tattat kakshopayogittvena asmabhi abhyupayatvat. He says, these Vedantins are those who adopt whatever is useful from anywhere, not only from Sankhya Yoga, but Itaresham. See footnote number 2. Charvakadinam. Even the stark materialists who say that the body is Atma, body is the self, even from them also we learn something. At least we learn what error not to commit, it is nothing else. And therefore, we can see where they are making a mistake, and so that at least we can remain free from that mistake. Or, there is lot to know about the body. So when these materialists only say that body is the Atma, then they do a lot of investigation about the body. So that may be useful to us, to know the body as body. And so that we can at least understand body cannot be Atma when we learn more about the body as to how it is inert, how it is mortal, and so on and so forth. And therefore the investigations of all those people in parts are useful to us, and therefore Vedantins do accept the various prakriyas or methods of analysis from other schools of thought. Sankhya has a great contribution in terms of the Trivana, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and the whole Prakriti, Purusha, Viveka. Yoga has a great contribution with reference to the mind. The Nayayika has a great contribution with reference to reasoning, Tarka. The grammarians have a great contribution to enable us to analyze the words and the meanings. The Mimamsaka have a great contribution with reference to karma. So, lot of work has been, lot of thinking has been given by them, and therefore, as far as the ultimate vision is concerned, we don't accept them. But as far as our other investigations are concerned, they are definitely very useful. Like the modern science also. That conclusion that the truth of the creation is energy may not be acceptable, is not acceptable to us. But otherwise what all they have discovered? That in and through the diversity of the matter, there is only one principle. So in and through the diversity, there is a unity, well that's acceptable. The human body is a fantastic machine. That shows us how that's the glory of the Lord as far as we are concerned. And therefore, all discoveries of science also give us some insight. Our conclusion or what we derive from them will be different from what they derive. However, all the investigations and fields of knowledge are definitely helpful. And therefore, we have no problem in fact accepting all the useful portions from all of those people. So, Iteresham Shastranam Tattat Kakshopayogittvena. Kaksha means to that extent all the Shastras are helpful. Asmabhi abhyupayatvat. And therefore we adopt those portions from other scriptures also which are useful to us in conducting our inquiry into the nature of truth. And therefore we don't close our minds. That's the idea. And as Gaudapada says, we are not opposed to anybody. Advaita is not opposed to anybody, because an Advaitin is comparable to a person who has eyes, and we look upon other schools of thought as people who look upon the truth from a standpoint. So we have the vision of whole, others may have the vision of the part, so everyone has a grain of truth in them. Like the famous story of the 7 blind men who went to investigate into the nature of an elephant, and each one of them came up with his own conclusion. As someone would say elephant is like a column and so on and so forth, someone says elephant is like a rope. So certainly elephant is not column or not rope, but when someone says that elephant is like a column because he only thinks that the legs are elephant, definitely there is an element of truth in that. And someone thinks the tail is elephant and so concludes that elephant is like a rope, well, there also is an element of truth. So there is nothing in the universe which does not have an element of truth. Nothing can be totally false, because totally false thing cannot exist. So everywhere the truth pervades everything, in everything. Even in anything that we consider to be immoral or whatever, there is some grain of truth. Because without truth, nothing can exist. Truth is beyond the good and bad and right and wrong and everything. And therefore, we cannot dismiss anything as everything reveals the truth in some way or the other. And therefore, the practical or pragmatic people are those who will always see the usefulness of whatever it is and then not reject anything. At the same time, don't embrace other things. Don't embrace them, so don't lose your sense of proportion and blindly embrace things also. At the same time, don't totally discard them, because they also may have something to contribute. So this sense of proportion is very necessary. That's why it's asmadhi abhyupayatvat. Even those things are also useful, and we do accept them. That's what the verse 227 says. Etat kakshopayogena sankhya yoga matau yadi dehonnamaya kakshatvad atmatvena abhyupeyatam. Etat kakshopayogena sankhya yoga matau yadi abhyupeyatam. If you have to say that since the sankhya and the yoga, both of them are useful in part, and therefore you should adopt them, then sankhya and yoga, we would say that even what the Charvakas have to say, meaning what the materialists have to say, that Atma, that body is Atma, deha annamaya kakshatvat. Upanishad says, so, prithvivyam oshadayah, oshadibhyah annam, annat purushah, sada esha purusho narasamayah. This Atma is rasamayah, this body is Atma. So, Taittiriya Upanishad says, why does it say that? Just to show that the body is alive, it is sentient, and that's what we take as self. So that's where our attention is first drawn. And then the question is asked, is the body alive because of itself? Is the body sentient because of itself? Or does it derive sentiency from something else? And then we realize that body is alive not because of itself, because of what we call prana. And therefore we say that other than the body and subtler than the body and interior to body, there is another self called the pranamaya. That's where our attention is then focused. And when we realize yes, it is prana that is Atma, then the next question is asked, are the pranas functioning by themselves or is it something that motivates them? Then we realize manomaya is Atma. So each is a kaksha. Each one is a certain realization or knowledge that body is Atma. But better than that knowledge is that prana is Atma. Better than that knowledge is that the mind is Atma. Better than that knowledge is that intellect is Atma. Better than that knowledge is that happiness is Atma. Even better than that knowledge is Brahman is Atma. And thus we can see that each one helps us to lead to the other one. Each one has a grain of truth. It is not that body is not Atma. Body is Atma, but body alone is not Atma. So Atma is very much there in the body, but Atma is not confined to the body. So we cannot say that body is not Atma, everything is Atma, and therefore body also is Atma. At the same time, this particular conclusion on my part that body is Atma does lead me to further investigation and enable me to ultimately arrive at the truth. Like what they call Sthula Arundhati Nyaya. In the deeper, in the Saptarshi, there is that Arundhati, that very small star. And how you start from a very bright star to less bright and ultimately arrive at the Arundhati. And here also we start in the same manner. Start with the body and ultimately arrive at Atma, which being Brahman. So Deha Annamaya Kakshatvat Atmatvena Abhyuperam. Even the Deha, the body also, which is made up of food, so the modification of food, even that also is accepted by us as Atma, inasmuch as that also helps us in investigation into the true nature of the self. So to that extent, we accept even the views, not the views, but the work done by the Charvaka or the materialist. So you are so generous. Says yes, then what's the difference? Kutastarhi Sankhya Yogayoho Vedanta Virodhitvam. Kutastarhi, then where is this Sankhya Yogayoho Vedanta Virodhitvam? Where is the virodha, the contradiction between Vedanta and Sankhya and the Yoga? Understand, the Sankhya and Yoga essentially go together. Because Sankhya provides the philosophy and Yoga provides the method of gaining that knowledge, realization as they call it. So in philosophy, Sankhya and Yoga both are one, except that the Yoga has one extra element. Sankhyas do not accept the principle of God. They accept two categories, Purusha and Prakriti, meaning the self and matter. And they say that the Prakriti alone creates, so they do not accept another principle called God. However, the Yoga Shastra accepts the principle called God. And they say that over and above Purusha and Prakriti, there is yet another principle called Purusha Visheshaha, a conscious being, who is God. And that is where, to that extent, the Sankhya and the Yogas, they differ. Otherwise, they are basically the same. So, in what extent do the Sankhya and the Yogas, they differ from Vedanta? There is a contradiction between their views and what the Vedanta has to say. Iti asankya, jiva bheda, jagat satyatva, ishvar tatastha lakshane amshe, iti aha. So, jiva bheda, the Sankhya say also, as we said, according to them, Atma, the self, is pure awareness, changeless, all-pervasive. And still they say that Atma, there are many, this self is different from the self of other people. So, Jiva Bheda. Sankhya say that the Jivas are many. This is their problem. So what they say about Atma is fine, but then to say that Jivas are many, this is a problem. Jagat Satyatvam. And then again the Sankhya have to say that this universe is real, the Prakriti is real. According to them, matter enjoys the same degree of reality as conscious or spirit, and so giving reality to the universe. Ishvara Tadasyam, and the Yoga Shastra talks about Ishvara, but Ishvara is, according to them, some Purusha Vishesha, some father in heaven like thing, meaning he is a conscious being alright, but one who is separate from the universe, separate from the world. Here's footnote number 3. Atra Tadasyam nama jiva jagadbhyam ishvarasya bhinnara. Tadastha means indifferent, or one is separate. So here are the jivas, the living beings are there, jagat, the world is there, Ishvara is the one according to Yoga Shastra who stands apart from jiva and jagat. He has created the world and that's all. Beyond that, he doesn't have, he is different from jiva and jagat, separate from them. That is called Tatastha. Tatastha means Tate Tishtati, one who stands at the bank. There is a flow of river. Tata is called the bank of the river. And one who is standing on the bank, uninvolved with the flow of the river is called Tatastha. And so also the flow of these jivas and jagat is there. Ishvara is uninvolved in them, so he is called Tatastha. This is the view of the Yoga Shastra about Ishvara. So in these three aspects, that the jivas are many, that Jagat or the world is real, and that Ishvara is different from the world, in these three aspects, the Sankhya and Yoga, they differ from Vedanta. Other than that, we have no quarrel with them. So that's what is said in verse 228. Atma bhedo jagat satyam Ishonya iti chetrayam Tyajyate taistada sankhya Yoga Vedanta Sammatihi. Atma Bheda Tyajyate Jagat Satyatvam Tyajyate Ishahanya Adishetrayam Tyajyate. If these three things are given up, so see footnote number 4, Atrayam Vivekaha Atma Bheda Sankhya Yoga Sammataha. It is Sankhyas who say that Atmas are many. Jagat Satyatvam Dvayoho. And Yoga and Sankhya, both of them say, of course Yogis also say, Sankhya Yoga Sammata. Both the Sankhya and the Yoga say that Atmas are many. Yoga Shastra also says that Atmas are many. Jagat Satyatvam, both the Sankhya and Yoga say that Jagat is real. Because they say, this is a tangible reality. How can you call it unreal or mithya? So they call it real. And they also find that the individual is helpless with reference to the events of the life. So they call him akarta, merely a bhokta. So this whole Sankhya philosophy is derived from perception and inference. So we perceive a world which is very tangible, which appears real, which is the cause of my pleasure and pain, with which I have a relationship of likes and dislikes. And so, the world creates in me the pleasure and pain and various reactions. It has its weight, it bears its weight upon me. This is what I find. And therefore, world is as real as I am. And it's separate from me. And so Sankhya says the world as real. I also find that I am helpless with reference to the events and the situations in the world, because I do not create. It is the Prakriti that creates the situations, and I just have to contend with it. That shows that the kartrutva of the doership is not in the individual. The doership is always in the Prakriti, in the world, in matter. And so they say that Atma is a karta. At the same time, I have to put up with whatever comes before me. I have to experience them, and therefore Atma is bhokta. So Sankhya say that Atma is bhokta, the experiencer, akarta, but then he is not the doer. The doing is all in Prakriti, in the matter. Thus, their conclusion about the Jagat and Atma, Purusha and Prakriti, that conclusion comes from what we call perceptual experience. And the yogis say, Yoga Shastra says that we find the whole world is under control. I also find myself under control of the laws of the world. I find that the universe also is under the control of the laws of the world. So there is a controller. And therefore Yoga Shastra looks upon Ishvara as the one who controls everything. And so Sankhyas did not see the need of that, Yoga Shastra saw the need of that, so they threw in one more principle called Ishvara, a Purusha Vishesha. Param Ishvara Jiva Jagadbhyam Binnaha Kevalahadi Yogasya Matam. Sankhya does not accept the principle of Ishvara. Yoga Shastra accepts it and says that Ishvara is the one who is different from Jiva and Jagat. So, iti chetrayam, this is three aspects. These are three aspects. Tyajyate taihi, if those fellows are willing to give up these three things, tada Sankhya Yoga Vedanta Sammatihi, then Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta, all of them will be concurrent, will be in agreement. Therefore, the Sankhya analysis is very helpful to us. Even the Yoga Prakriyas are also very helpful as far as harmonizing one's body and the mind and the breath and everything is concerned. It is extremely helpful. It's a very beautiful science, Yoga Shastra in itself, except that their vision is not acceptable to us. That you gain the knowledge, that it's all based on experience. That you have to create a certain experience. And therefore, Yoga Shastra is totally based on experience. And they want to lift their energy from a lower level right up to the higher level, right up to the top here in the crown. And that's where the Jiva and Ishvara they meet. And here is supposed to be a lotus with 1,000 petals, and when the energy goes there, and then there is what we call a rain of joy or happiness, which is what they experience, and that is called realization. So they have their own theory about what is the nature of realization or knowledge, which is not acceptable to us. But whatever work they have done with reference to study of the nature of mind is just beautiful. And all these things that we find in Hatha Yoga with reference to the body, etc., and that is also beautiful. And you don't have to do all that they are doing. But you can definitely, if need be, adopt those portions which are helpful, because very beautiful work has been done by them. It's just unparalleled. And Sankhyas are great analysts, and their analysis of 3 gunas and the world, etc., is beautiful. And so therefore, as we said, what work they have done also is useful to us. But then we cannot agree with them in total. So these are the 3 areas where there is a difference between Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta. Interesting question. Nanu jivasya asangatva jnana mukti siddhe. So what the Yoga Shastra says and the Sankhya say that all that you need to do is Purusha Prakriti Viveka, a discrimination between Purusha and Prakriti. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham punah punaha. I am asangaha, I am unattached, unconnected, unassociated. And so I am free. So if we gain that knowledge that I am pure, nitya siddha buddha mukta svabhavaham, I am ever free, ever pure, ever unattached awareness I am, and Prakriti, matter, is different from me, I am different from matter. If you have that kind of viveka between Purusha and Prakriti, meaning, if you come to know of the self as asanga or unconnected, unattached, isn't that enough? To know myself as unattached or unconnected or awareness which is unaffected by anything, isn't that enough to make me free? Jivasya asangatva jnanadeva mukti siddhehe. All you require for the freedom is to discover that Atma is free. And then why should I worry about Ishvara? And why should I worry about Jagat? All I have to worry about is, I just focus my attention on myself and discover that I am different from the body, I am different from mind, I am different from intellect, I am asanga, I am unattached or unconnected. And then I am mukta, I am free. So by simply the discovery of the fact that I am attached, I am unattached, that if I can become free, kim advaita bodhena, mukti siddhehe, kim advaita bodhena. What is the need to insist that Atma is one? Even if Atmas are many, as long as I discover myself to be asangaha, meaning unattached awareness, then isn't that enough? What is the need to discover that Atma is one, or that Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all of them are one? That what is the need for Advaita Jnanam? And what's the need for discovering or knowing that non-dual, which is the basis of all the 3? Iti asankya Advaita Jnanamantarana asangattvadikam na sambhavyate. The idea is that why worry about, you are talking about inquiring into Tatpada and Trampada and so on and so forth. Why should you worry about the nature of world? Why should you worry about the nature of Ishvara? Just look at yourself, focus your attention, as a Yoga Shastra does. The attention of Yoga Shastra is always on the self. Discover yourself to be Asanga Atma, that's all, and you are free. And so there is no need to worry about what we call Advaita Jnanam. Says Advaita Jnanam antarena asangatvadikam na sambhavyate. The answer is, unless you have the knowledge of Advaita, unless you really know that the Jiva, the individual, Jagat, the creation, Ishvara, the Lord, that all the 3 they derive their basis from one principle alone, that the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, all of them are manifestation of one principle alone, and that there is one non-dual truth of Brahman that alone is the content of everything. Unless you come to know of that, asangatvadikam na sambhavare, it is not possible even to know that I am asangaha. Meaning knowledge of the self is going to require the knowledge of creation as well as knowledge of Ishvara. Any one knowledge is going to require knowledge of everything, otherwise you will not have any one knowledge correctly. And so it's not going to work out that you just focus attention on the self, discover that self is a Sangha and be done with it. Because you cannot know yourself as Sangha unless you know the true nature of Jagat and Ishvara also. This is the thought, or this is the idea that the author has in mind. When someone asks a question, sometimes you don't directly reply. But you have a certain point in mind which you want to arrive at ultimately. You may not directly say that because it may not create an impact. So you need a person to that. And so keeping in mind that it is a knowledge of Advaita that alone will enable me to know myself as a Sangha. Iti abhisandhim hridinidhaya. So that abhisandhi means this particular conclusion, keeping in mind, this connection, keeping in mind, uttaramaha, then the reply is given here. A tentative reply is first given in the verse 229. Jivo sangatvamatreṇa kritartha iti chetada sracchandanādi nityatva matreṇāti kritarthaka. So question, Jivaha asangatvamatreṇa kritartha iti ched. Say Jivaha kritartha. This individual will become kritartha. The individual will become fulfilled. Asangatvamatreṇa, simply by the knowledge that Atma is a Sangha. By that knowledge alone, this Jiva will become fulfilled. So what's the need for Advaita Jnanam? It is said, this is a question. Tada Satchandanādi nityatva matreṇāti kritārthata. An answer is given in jest here. So, in little humor is shown here that, well, why don't you say that Satchandanādi nityatva matreṇa. Sarak means a mala, garland. Chandanam means sandal paste. So these are the typical objects of pleasure. Whenever they want to indicate the objects of pleasure, or sensuous objects of pleasure, then some of these objects are always indicated. Like sarak, like a mala, because people feel very happy. You know, the spurge of the mala and the fragrance of the mala or the garland makes you happy. Chandana, and then they have this, they apply the sandal paste on their body, and also it gives a certain sensation, whatever. So these are the objects that are indicated as objects of pleasure. So why don't you, if you say that by knowing the Atma as a Sangha that you will be free, you will be mukta, you may as well become mukta by knowing that the Srak, Chandana and all the various objects of the world are nitya, that they are all eternal, or they are all, beyond the scope of time. So by knowing all of this as nitya or changeless, you will also become free. So why don't you become free? By knowing that this mala or the garland is changeless or eternal. Or by knowing that this sandal paste which you are applying in your body, all those pleasures, not. But then the happiness coming from these objects is eternal. So gain a knowledge of that and you will be free. So why don't you do that, he says. If you can become free by knowing that the Atma is a Sangha, you can equally become free by knowing that the happiness coming from different objects of the world is a lasting happiness. So, then kritārthata, then also will become kritārtha. So, because all we need is lasting happiness. And if you come to know that happiness coming from different objects is lasting happiness, fine, I am fulfilled. So, you can as well become fulfilled by gaining that kind of knowledge. So it doesn't make sense, of course. So that fellow is wondering, what are you talking about? Everybody knows that no object in the world is eternal, everything is perishing, and therefore the happiness that comes from the objects also is only momentary. How can you say that the happiness coming from the objects is lasting or eternal? It cannot be. So how can I ever know what is impossible? If someone says that no, that the water in this glass will last you forever, it's not going to be possible because it is limited. Limited thing cannot last forever. and thus every object in the world is limited, nothing can give me lasting happiness. And so what are you asking me to do? Are you asking me to see that the happiness coming from limited objects is eternal? It's not possible. Similarly also, it is not possible to know that Atma is Sangha unless you know everything. That's the idea. The idea is that just as it is not possible for you to come to know now that the happiness coming from the objects of the world is lasting happiness, because it is not possible, it is not lasting. Similarly also, it is not possible for you to know that Atma is a Sangha or Atma is free unless you know Atma is Advitiya, meaning non-dual. Only when you know the self as the self of all, only when you know the self is non-dual, then alone it is possible to know the self as a Sangha. Otherwise it is not possible. So Asangatva of the Atma necessarily calls for the knowledge of Advitiyatva of the Atma also. That's the idea. So Abhisandhim Avishkaroti. So what intention he has in mind is revealed in the verse 230. Yathasragadi nityatvam dusampadyam tathatmanah asangatvam na sambhavyam jivator jagadishayoho. So when he made a statement to him that okay, when you discover the happiness coming from the objects as eternal, then he says, how is it possible? Sragadanityatvam dusampadyam. There is no way that I can ever come to know that this garland and this sandalwood and the various objects of the world are eternal or lasting. There is no way that I can arrive at that knowledge. If this is what you say, then tatha atmanah asangatvam na sambhavyam jivatoho jagadishayoho. Then we have to say that asangatva of the Atma, that Atma is free or changeless or unaffected, that knowledge of Atma also is not possible as long as jajivato ho jagadishayoho, as long as Jagat meaning the world and Ishvara the Lord, as long as the world and the Lord are jivat. Jivato means what? As they are alive, meaning they are different from you. So as long as the world as well as the Lord are taken to be different from you, and as long as you take yourself to be one of the entities in the universe, so long it is not possible for you to know the self as a Sangha. That's all. If it is not possible for you to know the objects of the world as eternal, in the same manner, it is not going to be possible for you to know the Atma as a Sangha as long as the Jagat and Ishvara, both of them, are taken to be separate from you. Jivitoho Visheshya Visheshanakarena Bhasamanayoho. Visheshya and Visheshanakarena Bhasamanayoho Jagadishayoho. So that is, one is Visheshya, other is Visheshanam. So adjective and substantive, meaning that Jagat is, Ishvara is the creator of the world, and therefore the world and the creator of the world, as long as they are taken to be different from you, so long there is no way that you will know yourself as asangaha or changeless. The whole world is bound by the chain of Visheshana and Visheshya, the qualifier and the qualification. So the one is, the Jagat becomes the qualification of Ishvara who becomes qualified. In this manner they are shining, and as long as this qualification and qualifier are there, so long how will you know the asanga, the unqualified? But that's not clear yet to us. So asambhavameva spashtayati. How? Why do you say that if the world is different from me and the Lord is different from me, why should it not be possible for me to know that I am asangaha or that I am free? Why should the difference or that duality between Atma and Jagat, why should it cause impossibility of knowledge that Atma is free? Why? So asambhavameva spashtayati. That impossibility of knowing the self as free, that alone is being clarified in the verse 231. Avashyam prakriti sangam पुरेवापादयेत् तथा नियच्छत्येतमीशोऽपि कोऽस्य मोक्षस्तथा सति। अवश्यम प्रकृतिः संगम पुरा एव आपादयेत् तथा नियच्छति एतम् ईशः अपि कस्य मोक्षः तथा सति। If you suppose you came to know yourself or Atma as Asanga, as unattached, unconnected, free. Suppose you came to know. But then, as long as Prakriti or the creation is different from you, so what was the reason for this Atma to feel bound in the first place? Atma, which is free by nature, according to Sankhya also, that I take myself to be Karta or a doer, I take myself to be happy and unhappy, all of these are notions derived from Aviveka, according to them. That Viveka or discrimination between Purusha and Prakriti is not there, and therefore the attributes of Prakriti are superimposed upon the Purusha or the Atma, and that non-discrimination leads me to conclude that I am a doer, I am happy, I am unhappy. And suppose I have that Viveka now, that Prakriti is different, the matter is different, and Purusha the self is different. It is real and is different from you. So long you take yourself to be one entity in the world. And when there is duality, there is going to be a certain relationship. A relationship involving likes and dislikes. You cannot get away from it. Understand that I cannot eliminate my likes and dislikes as long as I think that the world is different from me. And as long as I think that the world can place its burden upon me, I find myself weighed down by the world. So long it is not possible for me to know myself as free. Because the world is different from me, I can never understand the ways of the world, and therefore I will always have a variety of surprises and shocks in store, and therefore as long as the duality between the Jiva and the Jagat is taken to be real, Purusha and Prakriti is taken to be real, so long, just as the Prakriti was able to bind the Purusha before the knowledge, after the knowledge also, that Prakriti of the world will continue to bind him, because Prakriti remains independent. So, Pura Prakriti Sangam Apadayet, just as it was Prakriti of the matter that brought about Sangha or attachment in this Purusha and the Atma, so also after knowledge also it will continue to do that, because understand, as long as the world remains different from me, so long I have to deal with the world. And when there are two, there is always going to be fear. Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. When duality is there, I am different and world is different, there is always going to be fear, because world limits me, and when it limits me, I feel myself to be a limited person. I can never feel or I can never know myself as a limitless being. Even though I know myself as awareness, unaffected, and still I will know myself only as a limited being, because I find that the world is different from me. So world limits me. And when I find myself to be a limited being, there is going to be a desire on my part to become free from limitation. You cannot avoid that. And how do I become free from limitation? By manipulating the world, ultimately. If I feel that the world is responsible for my miseries or sense of limitation, I have to do something with the world in order to find myself limitless. I'll find myself again struggling with the world in the same manner. And so where duality is there, likes and dislikes, ragadveshas, the sense of limitation and the desire to become free from limitation are unavoidable. So just as earlier also, the Prakriti or the matter of the world created in me a sense of limitation. By its very presence, that thing need not do anything. Somebody in the room need not do anything for me to feel separate. If I feel that the person is different, I am different, the very presence of a second entity will bring about a sense of limitation in me, will bring about a discomfort in me. You see, when two people are there in the same place, and when the harmony is not there between them, if each one takes himself or herself to be different from the other, how it creates a discomfort in me? The very presence of the other one creates a discomfort in me. So as long as I think that there is something different from me, the world is different from me, it is going to create in me a sense of limitation, a discomfort, and a keen desire to become free from that sense of limitation. And so, just as earlier also, the prakriti of the matter, by the very presence, was able to create in me a sense of limitation, it will continue to create that sense of limitation now also, even after I know myself as a Sangha. Because prakriti still stands separate from me, independent of me. I do not know its ways, and I find myself dependent upon the ways of the prakriti. If prakriti of the world is conducive or agreeable, I find myself happy. If it is disagreeable, I find myself unhappy. And therefore, if my happiness and unhappiness depends upon the agreeability and disagreeability of the environment, and then I will always find myself jumping up and down from happiness to unhappiness, because I cannot dictate this matter. I cannot dictate prakriti. It is different from me, and therefore I cannot avoid the conflict arising from the two being separate principles. And so, how will you ever know yourself to be free? You cannot, as long as you take yourself to be different from the world. And also, tatha niyachati edam ishaha. Another thing is, I say that I take the Lord to be different from me. Now, whenever there is duality between Jiva and Ishvara, the self and the Lord, then immediately I find myself to be one. Who is the one? I am the one who is controlled, and Ishvara is controller. Because the Lord is the one who is the controller of the whole universe. The whole universe functions according to the laws of the Lord. Even this body also functions according to the laws of the Lord. My mind also is material, functions according to the laws of matter. And therefore I find I am always controlled. So Ishvara, the Lord, controls me, and He is the controller. And so presently the relationship between Jiva and Ishvara is one of control and controller, niyamya and niyamaka. You cannot get away from it. Because the moment I think of myself as one of the entities, I cannot get away from the idea that I am limited, I am helpless. That sense of helplessness, that I cannot do what I want to do, I cannot be what I want to be, that helplessness always remains. So, samane vrukshe purusho nimagnaha anishaya shochati mukhyamanaha. As Mundakopanishad says, is Jiva and Ishvara, both of them are the same tree, in the same place, and still this Jiva takes himself to be a helpless, hapless creature. And so Ishvara always is great, is all pervasive, is all powerful, and I am in every respect limited. That sense of limitation in my being helpless, my being controlled, it cannot go as long as I think that Ishvara, the Lord, is separate from me. So even after the knowledge that I am Asangaha, I will continue to be controlled by Ishvara. So Ishahapi etam niyachati. And even after the knowledge also, Lord will continue to govern or control this fellow. Ko asya moksha tathasati phalitamah. Then what? Tathasati, when this is the case, when Prakriti and Ishvara, both of them are taken to be different from Atma, tathasati ko asya moksha. Then there is a question of moksha. The sense you cannot come out from the sense of limitation because the world limits you, and you cannot become free from the sense of being controlled because Ishvara is different from you, and therefore there cannot be moksha. So you have to gain the knowledge of Advaitam, meaning that the world is not different from me, Ishvara is not different from me. There is a difference at the level of Upadi. That one body is different from another body. This body is different from the world, and this body may be different from the body of Ishvara, or a part of the body of Ishvara. But the self is not different at all, unless that knowledge is gained. Unless my aham bhava gets shifted from the body or the mind to the self, and that self is discovered to be the self of all, or that is the limitless self, when I totally wipe out the duality, I appreciate that the duality is totally false. Until then, there is no way that I can become free. It is not the world that really binds me. It is not the world that creates a sense of limitation upon me. It is ignorance of the nature of the world that creates a problem. The world is there where it is. I think that the world is different, and I think that I am limited. Now these are the notions that are born of ignorance. So it is ignorance that binds, ignorance of the non-duality that binds, and not really the world itself. The body doesn't create a sense of limitation, but ignorance and the misconception arising from the ignorance that I am the body, well, that creates a problem. Body is not a problem, but the notion that I am the body, that creates a problem. And that notion is born of ignorance. The world doesn't create problem, Ishvara doesn't create problem, but to feel that Ishvara is controller and I am controlled, that the world is different and I am different, now it is ignorance of the true nature of these things that creates the problem. So understand the problem springs from ignorance and not from the presence of the world or not from the presence of the apparent duality. That perceptual or apparent duality in the body or the upadhi will continue to remain in spite of knowledge, because knowledge is not opposed to duality, non-dual is not opposed to dual. Non-dual is not opposed to duality, non-dual is the truth of the duality. Duality is false, non-dual is real, and Satyam cannot be opposed to Mithya. So that knowledge is necessary. Unless that knowledge is gained, I can never discover myself to be a free being. Tatha sati ko asya moksha hai. So as long as these notions are there is a question of moksha. This also is very similar to what the Sankhyas understand. Sankhyas also say that the samsara is because of aviveka between Purusha and Prakriti. As they said, aviveka means non-discrimination. Between Prakriti, which is matter or the world, and Purusha, which is a self, so not knowing the true nature of them, that is aviveka or non-discrimination, and superimposing the attributes of one upon the other, and that alone is the cause of the samsara. This is what Sankhya also say. Not much different from what the Vedantins say. So yes, Sangha Niyamanayoho aviveka karyat. Sankhya say that I find myself to be attached to the world, or there is a repulsion towards the world, both. There is an attachment or aversion. Or I find myself as a being who is controlled, aviveka karyat. This is a product of aviveka or non-discrimination. And all I have to know is to discover myself to be asanga atma. When that viveka or discrimination is there will be no problem. So viveka jnanena cha aviveka nivrittau kutah punah sangat utpattihi iti shankate. He says all we require is viveka jnanena cha aviveka nivrittau. When again the viveka jnanam or discriminative knowledge, aviveka nivrittau, that aviveka or non-discrimination between Purusha and Prakriti can be eliminated, and then there will be no sangha. When I know that I am different from Prakriti, then after that knowledge, Prakriti cannot create any influence upon me. So then I need not know the oneness between Purusha and Prakriti. All I need to know is that Purusha is separate from Prakriti. Then why not that? Why do you insist that we should gain the knowledge of Advitiyatvam iti shankate? So verse 232 says that अविवेक कृत संगः नियमश्चेदि चेत्तदा बलादापतितो माया वादसांख्यस्य दुर्मतेः. The Purva Paksha, Aviveka Kritaha Sangha. Sangha is what? Adhyasaha. They say that the superimposition of, of taking the attributes of one to belong to other is Aviveka Kritaha Sangha. This Sangha or Adhyasa is born of Aviveka, non-discrimination. Niyamascha, niyam means prerana. That Ishvara controls me, that also is born of the Aviveka. And therefore by Viveka these things will go Chetada. Balat apatito mayavadaha. When you say that Viveka is required, you are in fact accepting the Vedanta Siddhanta that you must have the Viveka between Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, and the real Viveka is that where you discover the truth of all the three. Otherwise Viveka is not possible. So they talk of Vivek all right, but don't go far enough. Sankhyas did not go far enough, that's the only thing. They were very close. They said that you require the discrimination between matter and spirit, but they did not go far enough with the discrimination to discover that spirit is the only truth. So, balat apatito mayavadaha. Ultimately, you have to accept the mayavadaha, meaning you have to accept that all of these problems are creation of ignorance. Maya is the projection. So we said that ajnana avidya has two aspects, the avaranam and vikshepa, veiling and projecting aspect. So merely veiling or avaranam doesn't create problem. Just as in deep sleep there is a total blanket of ignorance, that time there is no adhyasa, no superimposition of taking myself to the body, there is no samsara in deep sleep. So merely avaranam is not samsara, but when vikshepa is there, that is samsara. So when I wake up in the waking and dream state, when there is this projection or the error of taking the body to be myself, then there is samsara. So that error is committed because of maya. So that aspect of projection is called maya. So mayavada means adhyasavada really. There is an adhyasa. So bala. And then also maya because we just don't know why it happens. And so there is a total delusion and that's why it is called maya. So that mayavadaha balat apatitaha sankhya's durmate. Durmate means this non-thinking sankhya. Kubut durmati. Durmati means actually one having this dushtamati. The person has not accepted the shruti and he goes ahead by his own dustarka. The fellow who applies all kinds of tarka and then does not accept the shruti as pramanam, he will have to accept the maya, meaning will have to accept this ignorance and the projection avidya, the avaranam and vikshepa, he will have to accept that. And thus he brings back how we start with Sankhya Yoga, see where the difficulties, where the differences are, why the differences are created, and therefore he is teaching us here by showing how, where the error is committed by the Sankhyas and the Yogas, so that we can know them or look at them in proper perspective. It is not just enough to say that they are wrong, but we should know where they are wrong, where the error is committed, and then our own thinking becomes clear. So this discussion points out to the errors committed by other schools of thought and or what are their standpoints, and so that we will know how they stand with reference to us and how to make ourselves free from that kind of an error. Okay, the Tika will discuss in the evening. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.